It's the Cubs and the Brewers on NBC Sports Chicago, home of the authentic fan, and a nice night for Cubs baseball. It's game 2 of a 3-game series. The Brewers a 4-3 winner yesterday. The Cubs still have a 4-game lead in the National League Central. Great to have you with us tonight. It's Jim DeShays and Len Casper with you. What a ball game yesterday. The Cubs certainly would rather have won the game, but it had a playoff atmosphere from the first pitch.
Yeah, indeed it did. All kinds of Cub fans here in the ballpark. They were getting rowdy. The Brewer fans responded. So great atmosphere, great ball game. And right from the get-go, it started. Anthony Rizzo lines this ball into center field. Javi Baez moving from first base. Watch Brian Butterfield see the mishandle by Kane out there in center. He sends Javi home. Cubs have the early lead.
The Brewers would come back, score a couple in the 5th to take the lead, and then Anthony Rizzo in the 8th off Josh Hader. How about that? And the crowd, unbelievable.
Yeah, first home run that Hader has ever allowed to a left-handed batter. Anthony Rizzo hitting .480 and change over his last 10 games with all kinds of slugging. He's been red hot. We had some controversy later on a ball strike call as Joe Madden was ejected. Carl Edwards also ejected on his birthday, nonetheless. He walks in a run here. And so it was just a kind of a late breakdown by the bullpen, something the Cubs have not had to deal with much at all this year.
And the much talked about final play of the game, 5-man infield, 1 out. Chris Bryant trying to turn a 5-3 double play, but Yelich with his speed beats it out and the Brewers win.
Yeah, just a crazy way to end that ball game. I think if KB had to do it all over again, he would have gone home. But just a spectacular play. Boy, a huge win for the Brewers because Josh Hader, Craig Counsell sent him out there out for a 3rd inning of work. So, he's down today, probably down tomorrow. And so that would have really hurt them had they lost that ball game.
Let's dig into the pitching matchup. It will be Mike Montgomery in his 2nd start off the DL. Wade Miley's been good. He hasn't been healthy all year, but 11 starts, he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs.
Yeah, Mike Montgomery last time out, just his first start since coming out the disabled list, was going along nicely, and then gave up a 3 spot in the 5th inning. Miley last time out against Cincinnati, lights out, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, very efficient, quick worker, throws a lot of strikes.
Again, the Cubs have a 4-game pad in the division. These two teams will meet up, including tonight, 5 times over the next week plus. We'll have the middle game of this series coming up from Miller Park next.
this Miller Lite game report. Cubs and Brewers game 2, and game 1 goes to Milwaukee in a very emotional contest, and you certainly could hear the Cubs faithful here at Wrigley North in what has become a very intense matchup, and Joe Madden talking about that before the game.
You know, rivalries normally are created by fan bases too, I think, and I know where the proximity is there, but the best I could describe it, I think it's legitimately Cardinals and the Cubs have created that. I've been involved in the past in different organizations, Dodgers and Angels. It's a different feeling, and you could go back to your high school days, you know what that feels like. He's right, it was a great game. Both teams are playing well. It's something that could really build into something over time, I believe. I don't think you can necessarily, you just can't create a rivalry just by writing that it is. It has to be felt, it has to be proven over time, I think.
These two have certainly had some great games down the stretch, and tonight will be another one. Mike Montgomery going for the Cubs, Wade Miley for the Brewers. It's all coming your way on NBC Sports Chicago after this.
You to experience amazing Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois through it all. Ford, who invites you to go further in their fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Menards, save big money at Menards. And by Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency.
Quickly, the Cubs Southwest starting lineup against lefty Wade Miley. Daniel Murphy not in the lineup. He'll be back in there tomorrow. Al Moore will lead off. Baez, Rizzo, Bryant. David Bodie playing third, batting fifth. Ben Zobrist in right, hitting sixth. The catcher Contreras, seventh. Montgomery, eighth. And Addison Russell, ninth. Wade Miley is ready to work against Albert Almora Jr. Here we go. First pitch is low for ball one.
Miley is the Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher for the Brewers tonight. He's made 11 starts. He was on the DL earlier this year, and he's been good. 2-2 with a 2.18.
Travis Shaw will throw out Almora. The leadoff man is presented by Benny's Beverage Depot. If Almora had gotten a hit, Benny's Beverage Depot would have donated $100 to the Greater Chicago Food Depository.
Could be a busy night for the infielders on both sides. A couple of ground ball pitchers working tonight. The Brewers defensively brought to you by BP. Braun made a big catch last night. Kane center, Yelich right. Shaw back in there at third. Arcia Perez short second. Aguilar first. Eric Kratz is behind the plate.
Roof open, 80 degrees as we get started. And ball one on MVP candidate Javier Baez. That is a strike for David Rackley, the home plate umpire tonight. Baez leads the National League with 296 total bases.
Still tied with Eugenio Suarez with 100 RBIs atop the NL. There you look at the arbiters. Rack 'em up Rackley, Jerry Meals, Ed Hickox, Gabe Morales, who was under siege last night from both dugouts.
On the ground is Shaw again. Low throw, but Aguilar able to scoop it.
Miley works very quickly. His role model is Mark Burley, so folks remember Burley, know how quickly he went. Miley is not a hard thrower. He likes to cut his fastball. He uses that cutter more than any other pitch. He'll also sink it. Good curveball, good changeup. Average fastball velocity 91-ish.
Anthony Rizzo has homered in back-to-back games for the 7th time this season. He had 3 hits in the opener. And the first pitch is a cutter low.
Yeah, he's been rolling along nicely. OPS up over 1,100 since the All-Star break.
1-0 serve. Hit him.
Gets a lot of movement on that sinking fastball.
Top of the back foot. 18th time he's been hit. That'll bring up Chris Bryant in the cleanup spot and playing left.
Kind of like this matchup.
Brewers over shift on the left side of the infield against the right-handed hitter. A lot of discussion today about the final play of the game in the 9th inning yesterday when Bryant decided to try for a 5-3 double play instead of throwing the ball to the plate. It's the kind of inside baseball conversation you could have for about an hour about one play. Swing and a miss.
There was a lot to dissect in that ball game yesterday, including that final play. Cutter's been a really big weapon for Miley, and he's been really aggressive attacking the strike zone. Last year he led the American League in walks.
He was pitching for Baltimore. He signed a minor league deal in February. Went to camp with the Brewers. And the day before they had to make a decision and likely put him on the big league roster. Near the end of spring training, he suffered a groin injury. So he came up with an agreement that he basically went over to minor league camp, rehabbed in the minors for a month. He came up, made a couple of starts in early May before missing 2 months with a strained oblique. Rizzo goes on a 3-2 and Bryant strikes out. Cubs do not score in the first. Mike Montgomery will take the ball when we return. Southwest starting lineup. Kane, Yelich, Aguilar, all All-Stars this year. Braun, Perez, and Shaw in the middle. Eric Kratz gets another start. Manny Pena has some stitches in his mouth after getting hit by a pitch last week in Cincinnati. Orlando Arcia, the shortstop, hitting ahead of Wade Miley, who can handle the bat. He's hitting .250 this year.
Cubs defensively brought to you by BP. Chris Bryant plays left field tonight. Albert Almora Jr. is in center. Ben Zobrist right. Bodie gets the nod at third. Russell and Baez up to middle. Rizzo first. Contreras behind the plate. Lexus experienced amazing starting pitcher. The left-hander Mike Montgomery, 4-4 with a .382. As a starter, 4-3 with a 3.38 earned run average. It's going to come at you with a 92-mile-an-hour heater, a curveball, a changeup, and a kind of a hybrid slider cutter. He likes to run in on the hands of the right-handed batters.
1-0 on Kane. Misses. Kane second in the National League with a .398 on base average. So he will take his walks. Fourth in the NL with his .309 average.
His on-base percentage against left-handed pitchers is .465.
Borderline off the plate in. Kane reached 3 times in the game yesterday. Montgomery working from the stretch here, and he walks Kane. And he'll stay in the stretch as Christian Yelich will bat. Yelich, the hero yesterday, 2 go-ahead RBIs, including the game ender. And is the reigning player of the week in the NL.
This is Mike's second start against the Brewers this year. He faced him back on June 13th. It was really good. He allowed just a solo home run. It was Lorenzo Cain who got him. And that was enough to win the game. A 1-0 Brewer win. In his career, 5 starts against the Brewers, winless, 0-3 with a 5.91. So as a starter, he's also worked against him out of the pen a few times.
Kane stole a base yesterday, his 25th. And Montgomery will throw over.
Yeah, normally, you know, you'd say Montgomery ground ball pitcher. Yelich hits the ball on the ground a lot. You'd think maybe start the base runner to stay out of a double play, but the way Yelich has been swinging the bat, you know, I don't know if you want to play hit and run with him or just let him do its thing.
Line drive foul to left. So among pitchers with at least 100 innings thrown this year, Montgomery has the 4th lowest strikeout percentage, but the 9th best ground ball percentage. So keep that in mind as the game moves along for that reason you mentioned.
Yeah, and a number of these Brewer players hit the ball on the ground a lot, so will help drive Craig Counsell's thinking in terms of starting base runners.
Brewers own the wild card lead. Game and a half ahead of the Cardinals. You saw in the graphic in the top of the first, the Cardinals have a 4-0 lead in Washington in the 4th inning tonight. Pretty good lead by Kane. Not going. The 1-2 almost hit Yelich.
Sometimes it takes a pitcher a little while to settle in, and it looks to me like Mike is rushing his delivery. That changeup way upstairs is typically a sign that you're not staying back over the rubber.
There's a double play chance. 4 to 6 to 3.
Always helps when you can get them 2 at a time. Pretty slick there. Nice to see that combination back in the middle of the diamond with Addy rejoining the lineup. Got the start last night, again here this evening.
Aguilar 1 for 4 with a double on Monday. 6th in the National League with his .911 on base plus slugging. I don't have his weighted on base average, but his OPS is driven more by slugging than on base. So the weighted on base, he would rank probably a little lower on the OPS scale.
Yeah, he's good against lefties as well. In that regard, it's kind of top heavy. Kane, Yelich, Aguilar, all very good against left-handed pitching. Once you get down the lineup, not so much. Hernan Perez is.
The mask of Contreras.
Travis Shaw, left-handed batter, getting the start at third base tonight. I think the Brewers faced a lefty last night. Again tonight. Will again tomorrow. I think they're going to see 1 or 2 over the weekend with the Giants. So Shaw and Moustakas, guys like that, they got to play sometimes. You can't just bury them.
Mike thought he had it.
Oh boy, me too, and anybody else watching. Rack him up. Rackley did not rack him up. Deemed it too low.
This time he gets him. If you're wondering, Aguilar's weighted on base 381. Very good. 14th in the majors. Nothing. Honored for his great month of August. He is the National League Pitcher of the Month. He went a perfect 4-0. The Cubs won all 6 of his starts. We got a no decision yesterday. Actually, a couple of honors for Cole Hamels today. We'll tell you about the other one coming up as well for his off-field efforts as David Bodie laces one into the right field corner. Yelich will pick it up, and David has a double. And he needed that. He was 6 for his previous 55 before that double.
Yeah, 1 out of 21 over the last 7 days. So oftentimes the cure is just to stay on the ball. Keep that front shoulder in, have an opposite field mindset. See the ball a little longer, don't pull off, and go from there. Just a little punch to right. He drove that ball. Extra bases.
We'll bring up Ben Zobrist. 0 for 2 off the bench yesterday. 25th in the NL in batting average. One for 13 against Miley. First pitch curveball misses. And a bunt toward third. Barehanded play, Shaw. Joe doing the hybrid bunt for hit / sack. And he will get a sacrifice for his efforts.
Wood would deaden that ball a little bit. Maybe he's able to get a knock out of it, but at the very least, he was able to move Bodie over to third base. Brewers in at the corners. And halfway in the middle of the diamond.
Infield in a few steps. And Contreras reports of an issue inside the Mariners clubhouse. There's some pushing and shoving, I guess. Let's see. Story goes, Dee Gordon asked reporters to exit the clubhouse, and then a little bit after that, there was some pushing and shoving involved. And the doors came open, so it's not good.
Boys will be boys.
You're okay with
Let
it,
them tussle. Oh yeah. I just think it's people get annoyed. They've been playing together all summer long. They've been together since spring training. Somebody probably blew somebody's save or something, cost them a win.
The AP reporting that Gene Segura and Mike Zunino were among those involved, even though Scott Service would not name the players.
Should be a go on contact situation here for Bodie.
There he goes. And he's going to make it. Go to first. Literally kicked by Contreras after it got past Aguilar. Everybody's safe. Cubs lead 1-0. I think Arcia had a shot at Bodie. He couldn't get a handle on it and almost got Contreras at first.
Yeah, with pitcher coming up next, this is definitely a go situation from third base on contact. So if Arcia does everything just right, maybe he gets him. Obviously, that was his intention. But after it slips out of his hands, he resets, takes a shot at Contreras. That didn't work out either. Plan A failed. Plan B failed. Let's have another man in scoring position. I was a little bit surprised that they weren't all the way in for that reason, that Bodie would, in all likelihood, be going on anything on the ground, and they would want to be a little tighter than they were.
Error on Arcia. Contreras will get an RBI out of it. Oh, 2 on the pitcher Montgomery. That was cashing in the leadoff double by Bodie. Outfield shallow against Mike. Miley ready. And the pitch misses. We got a downpour during batting practice today. But BP was not interrupted because they just closed the roof. Almost wide of third. It really came down. Very humid, hot day in Milwaukee.
Yes.
The rain cooled things off a little bit.
It's good. It's annoyingly warm this afternoon. Well, with each swing of the bat, Ryan Braun gets a little closer to the line and a little more shallow out there and left.
Good take by Mike. He's running full.
And with a fan. 50-50 or Hacken? So Miley, we talked about all the walks he had with Baltimore last year. Had a bad record and a high ERA. Had some good seasons early in his career with the Diamondbacks. Apparently he made some kind of a mechanical adjustment over the winter and helped sell that to the Brewers to get signed, to get that invite to Major League Camp this spring.
Strike three. Looking.
Didn't have to be.
Number 2 for Miley.
A little bit inside. Look at Kratz. Well, you're not supposed to get that pitch called, and you have to pull it that far. It's September. Everybody in. Support your Cubs during this final month as they push their way towards postseason baseball. Tickets available for all remaining games, but they're going fast. Cubs.com.
Addison Russell getting his second straight start. Probably will be off tomorrow. He went 1 for 3 on Monday. Joe trying to keep everybody fresh through this 23-game no off day stretch. This is day 15. Cubs have gone 10-4 to start it.
Three and 2 so far on this long road trip. Tough time of the year to have such a lengthy road trip, but so far they have played well. Starting with the makeup game in Atlanta, then on to Philadelphia. And they got 4 with the Nationals over the weekend.
And a bad time in terms of it's late in the year. Good time in that most of it coming in September, at least half of it. With the expanded rosters. Shaw has been busy early. Bad throw, tag applied. Aguilar gets Russell. Cubs get a run. They lead 1-0 in the second. $500,000 in cash and prizes. More at paysbig.com/Route 66. There's a mixed reaction for Ryan Braun in his home ballpark and all the Cub fans here. Cubs lead 1-0, bottom 2. Sellout last night, a little shy of that tonight, but upper 30s, maybe 40,000 in the ballpark.
Brewers draw well. They have the best per game attendance in Major League Baseball. Despite a small market. People are into the Brewers up here. Maybe not like the Packers.
I would say that's true. That's surprising. I always expect Braun to be good against both righties and lefties, especially the southpaws. He has not homered since August 14th when he took Jose Quintana deep twice at Wrigley Field. As the Brewer leader in home runs with 316 in his career. And he lines one into center.
Well, trying to go down and away. It was away but not down, and Braun able to reach out and line it into center field.
Hernan Perez playing second base.
Just another double play opportunity.
He's made career starts at third, all 3 outfield spots, second, short, first, so all 4 infield spots, and has made 4 pitching appearances. 3 this season. Check on Braun. He's a pretty savvy base runner. 203 career stolen bases for Braun. Back-to-back 30 steal seasons, 2011 and 2012. And the MVP in 2011.
If Cubs had a right-hander on the mound with Montgomery's ground ball profile, I think Counsell probably would have played a little hit and run by now. It's a little tougher with a lefty out there. You know you're not going to get a good jump from your base runner, especially when he's going back to the base as the pitch is being delivered, as Braun was on that occasion. But Perez is the kind of guy you can typically count on putting the ball in play. Doesn't walk much.
Foul tip, strike 3. Number 2 for Montgomery.
Fallout Boy is coming home to play Wrigley Field. It will happen on Saturday. Special guest Rise Against and Machine Gun Kelly. Don't miss out on the final concert of the season at Wrigley Field. Tickets on sale now. Cubs.com/concerts.
Travis Shaw, first start of the series. Pitch hit, went 0 for 1 last night. 97th start at third. He's added 22 starts at second base, which is a totally new position for him. 2 starts at first.
6'4", 230. That's a whole lot of second baseman. Scope pretty big for a middle infielder as well. They have an Aguilar with Moustakas third, Scope short, Shaw second, Aguilar first. They have some kind of a nickname for their infielder. I can't remember what it was. Something akin to a football nickname.
2-1.
Shaw, big time power, but just one of his 27 home runs this year coming against left-handed pitching. In the past, he's been a little better against southpaws than he has been this year.
Here comes a 3-1, and that's ball 4. 2 on for Eric Kratz.
And Mike looks strong tonight, but not sharp right now in terms of locating his pitches. That's a big double play off the bat of Yelich in the first. But right now there you go. So more balls and strikes. And some of the misses have been pretty wide, pretty far off the mark. Starters have been outstanding.
As you enjoy a cold Miller Lite, look forward to the whole just true moment later in tonight's game. Swing and a miss on the curveball.
Cubs lead the season series between these two clubs 9-5. They won 8 of the first 9. Lately, the Brewers have had the best of it.
Won 4 of the last 5 as Kratz fouls on a play. Mentioned earlier, Manny Pena is active, but not in the lineup again tonight. He got hit by a pitch in the face in Cincinnati last week. No concussion or anything, but he's got stitches inside his lip. Kratz has done a real nice job with Craig Counsell this season. Key leadoff walk in the ninth. After the game-ending run, he was lifted for a pinch runner in game 1. It's like bonus time for Kratz. Been around a long time. Most of his career spent in the minor leagues.
Yeah, so you relish this big league time, and especially for a guy like him to get it in the middle of a pennant race and having an impact.
981 career games in the minors over 17 seasons. This is his 278 in the big leagues. How about parts of 13 seasons at the AAA level? He might get a free membership.
He could be like
from AAA.
He's like Crash Davis, Kratz, right? Davis.
He's got a car breakdown.
Yeah.
Call AAA and say, hey, I should get my pension from you.
I need a trip tick.
Chased the bad one. Nope, he got a piece.
Got a piece.
He just nicked it and hangs in.
A couple ugly swings at that breaking pitch. Strong guy doesn't have great bat speed, so a lot of times that's the case. They're cheating, trying to get out in front of the fastball, and they look very silly when they get an off-speed pitch. Whoa.
Bases loaded. Single. Walk, hit by pitch.
Yeah, some concern over there in the Cubs dugout. I mean, not just because of that, but just the way this whole thing has gone the first couple innings with Mike not able to find the strike zone with any real consistency.
Is the nickname you were thinking of the goal line defense?
That might be it. Had something to do with football.
Or big boy infield? I don't know. Yeah, big boy infield. The goal line package. That's what Travis Shaw said.
Yeah.
So some trouble for Montgomery, but it's the bottom of their order. Cubs will play at double play depth in the middle against Arcia. He takes inside for ball one. On base twice yesterday, scored a run. A real struggle for him offensively this season. And he has come up with some big hits. He's won 4 games with go-ahead RBIs in the 9th or later this season.
Throw a four-seam fastball right over the heart of the plate here.
Line strike. He made it at 2-1. And 3-1.
Right now, Mike feels most comfortable with his cutter, but I don't know that he feels confident that he can throw any pitch over right now. Not a good feeling.
Popped him up. Is there room? Russell does not have a play. He and Chris got over there. I think it hit the guy wire. Actually, it's a Bodie and Russell. There is a guy wire that's holding up that netting above the dugout, and I think they had a play on it, and it hit right near the tarp there. I think it hit that guy wire. And Bodie chatting with Gabe Morales at third base. So a strategically placed wire keeps Arcia alive here.
Something you have to remind yourself if you're Mike Montgomery is you're just one pitch from getting out of this. If he gets a ground ball and get a double play, he's got the pitcher on deck.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Remember that one. Two outs. Miley is not an automatic out. 5 out of 20 this season. Gets away. And scores.
Like a cheapie.
pitch. Boy, those hurt.
They got the big strikeout. You got the pitcher up there, and also not able to knock that one down.
That ties the game at 1.
Should be taking here.
Walk, hit batter, and a wild pitch. Helping the Brewers tie the game. 2-2.
Kind of looks like the end of the ball game last night.
Ranging to his glove side, and that'll get Montgomery out of the inning. But each team with a run in the second. It's 1-1.
Philosophy for the guys to enjoy a win or stew on a loss for about 30 minutes and then move on. And certainly the Cubs, after dropping the first game in this series, found a way to quickly throw that loss behind them and enjoy some team bonding over their annual fantasy football draft. And Alberto Mora Jr., who's leading things off, he was the board director.
Something I look forward to every year. It really is. I love it. I love to spend time with the guys, and you know, it's a couple hours of the day, and we all get together in like a big ballroom, whatever it is, and they name them out, and I put the stickers on the wall, and that's all my job consists of. But it's a lot of fun.
So I hear the strongest squad, guys, is likely Tommy LaStella, who had the first pick, but Jesse Chavez went the strategic route of drafting as many quarterbacks as possible. So his thought was he could trade those throughout the year, and his teammates found that pretty funny. So anyway, Joe Madden not involved. He says it takes up too much time in the winter, but they had a lot of fun with that last night.
Now, Kyle Hendricks says that he thinks Mike Montgomery has the best team. So
okay, well, it'll be interesting,
we'll
and of course, bragging rights, right? Always on the line.
Yep. Thank you. These guys love it. And I think they had a room at the hotel off the lobby and had food and the whole deal last night to do their draft. 2-2 on Albert. 1-1 tie, third inning. And that ball rolled right into the Brewers dugout. Former infielder Craig Counsell tried to make a play. And I'm not sure he did. I think he's hearing about it from his players. That's caught on a line out to Shaw. High-speed action is powered by Xfinity. Every day, another highlight or two or three from Javier Baez. He was going to go to third. Little bobble by Kane. Brian Butterfield sends him. Safe for the first run. Cool off in the dugout. Ball, no strikes on him. Now 1-1. Miley is from Loranger, Louisiana.
Yeah, he's a good old boy. Started hunting when he was 3, according to his bio. Yeah. Good changeup. See the comparison to Burley. The good sinking action on the fastball, a lot of run on his two-seamer. Good changeup. Most importantly, the pace. I mean, it is get it and go.
Who wants it? Arcia cuts it off in front of Perez. You talked about it in the open. No Josh Hader tonight. Possibly no Josh Hader tomorrow. So it's kind of option number 2 for Craig Counsell behind Wade Miley. Later tonight. Jeffress might be in play.
Yeah, I would think Jeffress would be in play, unless he reported the ballpark today and said he was a little tender. I mean, these are critical games for the Brewers.
StatCast AI is powered by AWS.
Not a bad idea to step out on Miley. Just try to upset that rhythm a little bit. Wade Miley will never have to worry if they institute a pitch clock. He could bank all that time and give it to his teammates.
I just gave you 2 extra minutes. It's a fair ball, and it will be handled and assisted by Aguilar. And we go to the bottom of the third, 1-1.
Oval. In the ball game last night, Orlando Arcia running with the pitch. Cole Hamels threw to first base, and then the throw to second got by Daniel Murphy. While that was all going on, not Rackley but Morales, the home plate umpire, was calling for a balk, and nobody knew it. Everybody was focusing on what was going on out at second base at the time, and that wasn't really till we figured it out a couple innings later when we got the announcement in the press box. But the guys down in the dugout didn't know till after the ball game.
Yeah,
I mean, Hamels knew, but
he's like the only guy in uniform who actually knew, and I guess Gabe Morales said it looked like you were coming home, and that's why he called it. So 2 runs he allowed in that inning were earned. 2 balls, no strikes on Kane, who walked in the first inning.
Yeah, and getting that last look at it, it did look like he stepped more towards home plate than to first base. And, you know, it takes a lot for me to buy into a balk, to admit that there was a balk, but it looked like, and it didn't impact the game because Garcia would have been safe anyway at second base.
3-1. Alex had a hard time finding the strike zone here early.
You know, he's strong, his pitches have good movement, and sometimes that works against you.
Yelich and Aguilar also due to hit here in the Brewer third in a 1-1 tie. That'll go foul.
.389 batting average for Kane against left-handed pitching, tops in the National League, second in Major League Baseball.
He's on again. Hey, we want to send out congrats to Alex and Abby Suarez as they welcomed Madeline Maddie Jordan Suarez into the world on August 28th. Abby is the executive director of the Anthony Rizzo Family Foundation and a former member of the Cubs organization. Alex is the Cubs director of international pro scouting and player development. So congrats to the Suarezes. Everybody doing well.
That is a high quality baby.
Very high quality baby indeed.
Well, Mike has given up just the 1 hit, but 3 walks and a hit batter. Pitch count is getting to be an issue. 53 pitches already.
Cubs added another arm to the bullpen today. Veteran lefty Jaime Garcia, selected from AAA Iowa. We needed to make room for him on the 40-man roster, so Mark Zagunis, Iowa outfielder, was recalled from AAA and then placed on a 60-day disabled list with right shoulder inflammation. So the Cubs have 33 active players on the rosters. Yelich swings and misses. And it's 0-2. Talking with pitching coach Jim Hickey today, really is intrigued by Garcia's slider. He could be a guy you might use big spot or two against a left-handed batter. Toss to first, came back.
You have the luxury of the expanded roster to make moves like this, and bring in guys into more of a specialty role. Left-handed batters this year against Garcia hit just 188 against him.
The fact that Jaime is in the dugout and not in the bullpen. Swing and a miss, runner going. Kane is in as Russell tried to get him before he got the hand in, but could not.
A real quick tag by
struck
Russell.
out, one away.
Lightning quick tag out there, and Javi was out in short center calling for an appeal, calling for a challenge here, but it looked like Kane beat it. As long as he maintained contact with the base, I think he's okay.
He's at second with 1 out. His 26th steal. Yeah, Garcia could head out to the bullpen in the middle of the game, but the fact that he's not there now would probably indicate that they did not want to use him tonight. As Aguilar takes a strike. They did throw some live BP a few hours before the game. But we're in the bottom of the 23rd tonight. They might tell him to head out. No reaction.
Counting on it now. We could be in the 23rd inning and still have 6 guys available in the bullpen.
Oh, 2. Charged by Bodie. No throw, but Rizzo's made a couple of nice digs over there first.
Friday the 14th, Cubs play the Reds. First pitch 120 up to the first 5,000 early, arriving at Oaks 21 and older in the Budweiser bleachers. You see the Cubs Velcro patch cap presented by Budweiser. Bleacher tickets are still available. For details, visit Cubs.com/Fridays. Mike leaning heavily on his changeup here this inning. Anybody want a pizza?
Always up for pizza. Ground ball to short, right at Russell. Brewer strand Kane at third as Montgomery works around the leadoff walk. 1-1 after 3. 20 innings to go. X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. Old Miley to Chris Bryant, swing and a miss. We'd also like to welcome all our viewers watching in Indiana on Lightstream in Pulaski and Fulton counties. 0-2 on Chris. You like this matchup?
Yeah, I think Chris is a good low ball hitter. I think there's a lot of stuff that could be moving into him. I like that. But, didn't pan out last time. This one down swinging in the first.
Viewers want to know why time was called, but didn't exactly seem to make that call before Miley went into the wind. And we'll see hitters do that just to try to get him off his rhythm. Did you see that? Brackley just gave a new ball to Kratz. He just tossed it right into his chest protector and it hit the dirt.
See Chris asking for time or just holding his hand up as he settles in. He doesn't want to get quick pitched. I think that tempo puts you in swing mode, gets you a little jumpy.
Struck out twice. Now Bodie, who doubled to start the second, later scored on the Contreras ground ball.
Who was it? Was it Suter that worked so quickly? That
really fast.
Yeah.
Watching his best pitch is his pace.
Yeah, and I think the same thing here for Miley, and maybe the answer is just to not get out of the box. I mean, most guys, it's their hitter's rhythm too, where pitch, get upright, either step out of the box or take a step out, take a practice swing, but to kind of stay in there and be ready so you don't feel hurried.
Right, so you're kind of out of your rhythm either way, but maybe not as much if you don't step out.
Maybe out of your routine a little bit, but maybe you don't feel as hurried if you're staying there ready to hit. See, he's not ready.
Well, the other thing about Miley, not only does he work quickly, but he's got a quick windup. Right, when he starts his windup, by the time he lets go of the ball, it's pretty quick. Shaw gets Bodie.
Reminds me of my old buddy Tom Browning. He was really quick.
Looking in front of each dugout, you've got sunflower seeds and all kinds of stuff. That's par for the course for a big league game. You don't even want to consider what the floor of the dugouts looks like. But I'm reminded of the oral history they did of Naked Gun and the baseball scenes, and how the Zuckers, who are from Milwaukee, they wrote that movie. They didn't have to tell any baseball jokes. They just did baseball things and exaggerated it. They had 6 Hall of Fame broadcasters in the booth. They had the players' wives spitting tobacco down in the front row. I mean, they just basically said, do baseball things, but we'll just do a lot more of it. And that's what made it so funny. And when I see the sunflower seeds, I think of Naked Gun a little bit. The other interesting thing about that piece is that the national anthem, it felt like Leslie Nielsen ad-libbed it, but apparently it was very carefully crafted. There was no ad-libbing involved.
I don't remember the anthem that well. I remember
he just totally botched the lyrics. The Dodgers did not want to be involved in the movie. That's why it ended up being the Angels. It was the Seattle Mariners and the
because Reggie was going to kill the Queens,
Angels.
right? Wasn't that the deal? No.
Former Cub Jay Johnstone with a cameo. Zobrist bounces to Shaw. And that'll do it. Cubs go quietly in the 4th, 8 in a row, retired by Miley. Chicago hosts a Miller Lite viewing party at Champions Sports Bar in Plainfield. Watch Chicago take on Washington and enjoy free giveaways.
Washington has come back to tie the Cardinals 4-4, bottom of the fifth. That was a 4-0 Cardinal lead.
Gut-wrenching losses the last 2 days. And the Redbirds.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Mike Schilt does with his bullpen. Bud Norris has struggled lately as their closer.
Montgomery struck out Perez in the second. Another foul.
Through strike one there to Perez, he'd only done that to 6 of the first 13 batters he faced. And start to establish strike one, then he can expand with his off-speed stuff and maybe generate some weak contact or some swings and misses.
Foul out of play. I have a groundskeeping question that I probably should ask a groundskeeper. But the foul ball went down the left field line. They do have a tarp here, even though there is a roof. And my question is this: what would be a tougher field to maintain throughout a summer? A place like Wrigley Field or a ballpark with no roof where you get a lot of rain, or a retractable roof stadium like this where you have to make sure the grass doesn't die, because that's a challenge even though you're not dealing with a lot of rain. Diving attempt, Russell couldn't get it, and Perez is on leadoff single.
He almost did. What an effort by Russell. So Monty right back into the stretch. He's had to deal with a lot of base runners tonight. The bottom line is he's only allowed one so far. Great effort there by Addy. As to your ground crew question, I guess they would probably say, well, they each have their own particular challenges. I know down in Houston, because of the heat, that was a big challenge, you know, opening the roof, because you'd want to get natural light on the field and you get some sunshine on the field. But you could bake the field with the roof open too long. So there was always that game of opening, closing, and trying to control the climate.
I was thinking that, you know, it would, on its face, it would be easier to handle a field like this because you don't have to be on call for all these rain delays, but you want to make sure you keep the grass healthy. Shaw runs foul. So you don't normally see a power guy do this, but against a lefty, he tried it.
Yeah, I imagine he was doing that on his own, but it wouldn't be surprising to see managers employ more one-run strategies early in games now with the expanded rosters and all the bullpen options that they have. They can play the matchup game, just find a way to get a lead. Generally, early in the game, at least for the first 6 innings, you're thinking, you're not playing for a single run, you're playing for a big inning.
Manager chatting with the starting pitcher. On a hop, and Dallas can't get it. So he played it off to the side, and that would have been a pretty routine 4-6-3 double play. Instead, it's first and second with nobody out. That'll be an error on Baez.
Sharply hit, though. This ball really scalded, and kind of an in-between hop there. He's trying to play it to the side so he could spin and make that throw to second base.
We've got an equipment issue. As it looks like Addison Russell needs a new belt.
Like he's at TSA. What about my laptop? Do I have to put my laptop on the thing? Am I good? Shoes? Just a belt? Okay.
Don't forget your iPhone.
Yeah.
if he had pre-check, he wouldn't have had to do that.
So it would have been worth his while.
Are you going to say it or will I? Triple play is in order. Paris takes off. He got a huge jump. And he'll steal third. Still that one on the pitcher, Montgomery. That is his 11th.
Cubs are anticipating bunt. Anthony was way in at first base. With one look and go, and that's advanced scouting right there. That's just their read on Mike. That it must be they have in their report that a lot of times it's just one look and pitch.
And a knee buckler as Kratz tried to bunt a curveball. He's fortunate he didn't pop out. And 2 strikes to Kratz. One-time Brewers third base coach Ed Cedar
doing the West Wing walk and talk. Well, you're going to be aggressive here, right? If you're the Brewers, try to find out a way to scratch out this second run, because you got Arcia next, who's having just a woeful year. And then the pitcher spot.
In the right field corner, it's Zobrist. And his throw will go to second. Sacrifice fly, Eric Kratz. Brewers lead 2-1.
Hasn't been much hit in the air to the outfield by either side here. A lot of stuff on the ground. A lot of the traffic for the Brewers have been more walks and a hit batter. Air contributing in this inning. A weird vibe to this game.
So runner at first, 1 out and a run in. And Arcia takes low. And a change. Second start back from the DL for Mike. Second start on this road trip. Way up in the air. Russell out. And Almora will call him off. Now the Corona NL Central standings. Cubs 5 up in the loss column. They still have 2 games in hand on the Brewers. Cardinals 5.5 back. 2 games they feel they should have won the last 2 days. And back in the lead in the 6th inning, 6-4 in DC. We'll be in Washington Thursday night.
This time last year, the Cubs were 75-62. And a 3.5 game lead.
Only went around. Braves have a 4-game lead on the Phillies in the East. Phillies are leading their game. In the 7th in Miami, 8-3. The Braves trail at home 3-1 to the Red Sox. In the 6th. Speaking of the Phillies, Ryan Howard announced his retirement via the Players Tribune.
I saw that. I didn't realize that he hadn't retired already.
Been a free agent since November, has not played in the majors since 2016. He's 38 years old. 382 career home runs. And as Miley strikes out, the Brewers do grab the lead. It's 2-1 as we head to the fifth.
John Lester named the Cubs nominee for the 2018 Roberto Clemente Award. This prestigious honor, of course, Anthony Rizzo took home last year, and the veteran lefty discussed what it means just to be honored for this.
You know, we try to, obviously being a pitcher, I don't have the everyday grind that these other guys have, so we try to balance. We do what's called road rallies and have cancer patients in different cities come out to the field and watch batting practice and get to meet. You know, obviously when you're on the road, they want to meet their hometown players more so than us. But the Cubs fans travel well and are in a lot of different cities.
Well, John Lester does a lot of work with his Never Quit Foundation in June, raising over $500,000. And also nominated for the 2018 Roberto Clemente Award is Cole Hamels as the representative for the Rangers. He also does a lot of work with his foundation. But guys, just talking about John Lester here, Cole Hamels, we know Anthony Rizzo and Kyle Schwarber spends a lot of time in the community. It really says a lot about the character of this clubhouse and the work they're doing off the field as well.
Thank you, Kelly. Great stuff. Yeah, go to neverquit.org, nvrqt.org, and I know John would give a lot of credit to his wife, Farah. They'll do a great job with that foundation, so good luck to John and to Cole. 2 strikes on Wilson Contreras.
The award was originally known as the Commissioner's Award, started in 1971, and then renamed the Clemente Award in '73 after Clemente's passing. Given to the player who best exemplifies the game of baseball, sportsmanship, community involvement, and the individual's contribution to his team.
Contreras strikes out swinging.
And I think in recent years, the community part of it, the give back part of it, has become a bigger part of that award. Really, so many players have stepped up to do so much, like Rizzo, like Kyle, as Kelly was mentioning, and John Lester.
Curtis Granderson, Chicago native, won it 2 years ago, and it was neat for Granderson. He was honored, I'm pretty sure, at Wrigley Field.
That sounds right.
During the World Series in 2016. Kyle Schwarber will bat for Montgomery. Joe will trust his bullpen to keep the Brewers close the rest of the night. 4 innings for Montgomery.
It's nice to be able to pull the trigger and use Schwarber here and know you still have Daniel Murphy and Tommy LaStella from the left side on the bench. Or switch hitters Caratini and Happ.
Shaw and Arcia will swap spots. Arcia off to short. In the air to right. Yelich coming over, and he'll get it. Nice running catch by Christian Yelich. He's got center fielder speed, playing a corner spot.
This is a really good outfield here, both in terms of run production and what they do defensively.
Well, he wasn't so sure. Ooh, he says. Russell with 2 outs. Gio Gonzalez warmed up yesterday before the Brewers took the lead. He now has a new role. He's going to start on Saturday against the Giants, replacing struggling right-hander Junior Guerra.
Schwarber able to do what nobody else has been able to do. Loft the ball to the outfield. Everything's been on the ground except for the Bodie double. It's the first put out by a Brewer outfielder here today. First time other than the Bodie double that the Cubs have hit the ball in the outfield. I like the look of Addy in the batter's box these days. Maybe it's just because he hasn't been out there for a while, but it looks to me like he's got a little more flex in the knee, sitting on that back leg. Just looks a little more hitterish than before he was shut down.
Swing and a miss. Smiley has been really good tonight. It's 11 straight Cubs retired.
Take on the Pirates, and they celebrate Hispanic Heritage Night at Wrigley Field. All participants that purchase tickets through the Community Nights page receive a Los Cubs t-shirt. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com/Community Nights.
Was Cap in the shower when he sent it to you?
I don't know.
Here's Brandon Kinsler.
That's a shower cap.
It's a shower cap. Oh, I like it. Former Brewer Brandon Kinsler We'll try to keep this at 2-1.
61st appearance overall for Brandon. 2 and 3 with a 4.56 earned run average. Kind of rocky ride for him with the Cubs.
Driven the other way and deep. And Zobrist can't get it. It'll bounce off the track and into the bullpen. And Lorenzo Cain has had a night. 2 walks, a double, a stolen base. And the Brewers have had the leadoff man reach in every inning tonight.
Yeah, applying constant pressure. Montgomery, for the most part, able to kind of work his way in and out of trouble. He did give up the 2 runs. And that sinker just didn't have that great hard diving action they typically see from Brandon Kintzler. Good approach by Cain to go the other way against him.
Yelich has hit into a double play and struck out. And takes low.
This is Brandon's 16th appearance with the Cubs. He has an 8.44 earned run average. Small sample, just 10 2/3 innings of work.
That'll get Cain to third. Let's check in with Kelly Kroll.
In talking with Brandon Kintzler this afternoon, guys, he really brought up that series against his former team in the Nationals and felt like during that outing, he really lost who he was upstairs mentally, kind of lost his game for a bit, and mentioned that over the last couple of outings, he's felt like he's been himself a little bit more and is finally getting into that groove. But even mentioned the NLDS and said the way the Cubs were able to, as we were talking about earlier, wash away losses so quickly, that actually gave them the mental edge he felt like against the Nationals last year. I thought it was an interesting conversation, but he's feeling better, he said, out on the mound of late.
Well, he's in a tight spot here, facing Aguilar with the infield in and 1 out. As the Brewers are trying to add on. That's something they've struggled with. They've played in so many close games. And they have come out on top in a lot of them, but they've had to sweat it out. You know how good the Cubs are in terms of coming back late. Error.
Yeah, he's had a hard time with that corner down there. He's had some funky hops with the tarp.
So get another chance.
Yep.
It's a game of redemption.
Yep. Hang in there. Fielding percentage is overrated anyway.
2-1. There it comes, and it's low. It looked like he could have gotten it, but did not. From David Rackley. We call him Rack 'em Up Rackley. He didn't rack him up.
No. We need to call him Ring 'em Up Rackley. Probably down.
Did he go? He did. And instead of a walk, it's 3-2.
Well, RBI Green wants to be ready to go with a man on third.
Punched out into right center. Long run over Zobrist. Cain tags. Here he comes. The throw to the plate is cut off by Rizzo. It's now 3-1. So they have scored their runs on a wild pitch and 2 sac flies. Aguilar picks up his 94th run batted in.
That's good execution there by the Brewers. Leadoff double. Yelich on the ground. Kane advances. Aguilar with the fly ball deep enough to get him home.
I believe this is the biggest lead of the series, right? For either team.
I'll accept that.
And 1 to Braun.
Pinchler first came to the big leagues with the Brewers in 2010.
Four runs have scored in this game. None on hits. Cubs got their run on an error. And it was earned. It ended up being an RBI for Contreras. One unearned run for Montgomery tonight because of the Baez error in the 4th. That's a base hit.
Through the barrel line, it. Second hit of the night for Braun, and he, like Kane, goes the opposite way. And effective approach against that sinking fastball. He tried to pull it. It's probably a ground ball to short.
Low on a sinker to Perez. A resourceful Brewers offense so far. In fact, their previous 3 hits, the only 3 hits they had, they cashed them all in later in that inning for a run.
In most baseball games, they're decided by a big inning. The Big Bang Theory of baseball. The winning team will score more runs in one inning than the losing team will score the entire game. And that tends to hold true. It's been more of the picket fence approach. 3 singletons so far for the Brewers.
Nice play, Bodie. Long throw, he got him. What a play. David Bodie, a little Brooks Robinson-esque over there at third. And that will end the 5th inning. The Brewers do add to their lead. It's 3-1.
Hey, Cub fans, join the Cubs season ticket holder waiting list today to claim your spot in our lineup for season tickets. It's easy and it's free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list.
Lined, and it deflects off the glove of Arcia. Looked like he had it, but then he didn't. It's a hit for Almora.
A pretty good bid for it, but could not haul it in, and now the Cubs get a chance. Third look at Miley for the heart of the order here. It's the second hit for the Cubs. That plus the Bodie double.
Swing and a miss.
Kind of weird. He has not walked anybody tonight, Miley. He struck out 5. He's only thrown first pitch strikes to 6 of 18 batters coming into this inning.
Cubs haven't faced a lot of lefty starters here lately. Only the third one in their last 27 games. As the team they face, it's a lefty about 4 out of every 5 as Baez will line to Kane. It's not the easiest play in the world for a center fielder. Ball hit right at you. You might freeze on it, but Kane immediately came in and made a nice catch.
Yeah, it didn't take him long to get going. And that ball was sinking on him, but he was able to close quickly and finish it off.
Short lead Almora. First pitch strike to Rizzo.
Done a lot of work at the bottom of the knees. The shift is on for Anthony when there's nobody on base. And sending Hernan Perez out into shallow right field. Now he stays on the dirt with the double play in order.
Another thing about that shift, a lot of Rizzo's ground balls. And now Shaw will swap with Perez. A lot of his ground balls into the shift with the second baseman playing in the grass. I feel like he would hit it to where the second baseman normally would be anyway. It's just that guy's deeper.
True.
Right? So has the shift really taken away more hits than it would have otherwise? I don't really know. One, two, little choke up. And it's in the dirt.
Miley, like Hader last night, has not allowed a home run to a left-handed batter this year. That changed for Hader last night when Riz got him.
A fly ball to center field. It's fairly deep, but it's going to be caught. And head back to first base.
Well, let's see if third time's a charm for KB here tonight. 2 tries at Miley. He's punched out both times.
One at bat can turn a game around. There's a vast wasteland between first and second base. There's about as much space as you'll see in the big league field between infielders. Probably about 115 feet.
He's got him in a good count.
Three and 0, Bodie on deck. I think Miley might be on a batter-to-batter deal at this point. There is action in the Brewers' pen.
Backdoor cutter might have been off the plate. Likely on 3-0. Thought it was good enough. Corey Knebel, hard-throwing right-hander.
He's been their closer, but it's been a tough year. Ground ball knocked down by Miley. Can't find the ball. Had he found it in time, he would have had Bryant. The ball is laying right behind him. So an infield hit for Chris.
You get the sense that Miley was almost like a goaltender here. He just kind of trying to keep his body. He's kind of spun around, so he was in no position to make a play on the ball. He was hoping it would hit his body and he'd be able to find it. The first part of it he got. He went down like he'd been shot. Bottom of the foot.
Who's going to get a chance to get Bodie? David has doubled, scored, grounded out, and made a terrific defensive play to end the bottom of the fifth.
This well speaks to two things: the confidence that Craig Counsell has in Miley, who's really been throwing the ball well, not just tonight, but pretty much since he's been activated. And bullpen, despite having a lot of numbers out there, I don't think there are a lot of guys in the circle of trust right now for Craig Counsell.
Liberty Mutual Insurance field coverage. That's a great play. David Bodie. The Brewers bullpen, the third worst ERA since the beginning of August. 5.77.
Starters have not been very good either. And early in the year, first half of the year, the bullpen was a real strong point for this club.
Crowd making some noise here in Milwaukee. 0-2 is down, and the runners will hold. Been his go-to here with 2 strikes.
You know, I think the key, I don't know that there's been a go-to. I think that's why he's been good.
Right. I think more than one option.
Yeah,
curveball outside.
The cutter in, the changeup have both been very effective. Nothing straight. There's movement.
He has not thrown a straight fastball here in this sequence. Cutters, changes, and curves to Bodie. Bounce to third. That'll take Shaw right to the bag. Cubs strand 2. Miley gets through 6 with a 3-1 lead. Presented by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media. Nationwide is on your side.
All right, De La Rosa, the new pitcher for the Cubs, appearing for the 51st time this year, a 3.72 earned run average for the veteran left-hander. Anthony Rizzo is out of this ball game.
Well, he got hit on the foot, and I believe he fouled a ball off himself early in this game as well. So we'll find out from the Cubs at some point why he came out. One strike to Shaw. Ground ball to Russell, kicked up on, and will be charged with an error. So errors by both Baez and Russell tonight.
On Shaw ground balls, the ball to Baez was really scalded this time. Kind of a medium pace ground ball, but that's the kind of play you watch it develop, and you know there's a chance that there's an ugly hop coming, a tough little in-betweener there. It's so rare to see Baez and Russell both commit errors out there in the middle of the diamond.
De La Rosa made his big league debut way back in 2004 as a Brewer. This is his 15th major league season. Stops in Kansas City, long stint in Colorado, Arizona, now the Cubs.
This is appearance number 9 for him in a Cub uniform. He has pitched to a 0.82 earned run average, 11 innings of work.
This could be our AARP matchup. De La Rosa and Kratz.
Say Kratz is 37.
Yeah, they both are. That's not old by any stretch, but in baseball years, it's
long in the tooth.
Nearing the end, yeah. outfield pop-up. Behind the plate, foul ground caught by Contreras. All the way. Rays won again. They are probably not going to make the playoffs, but they're playing like a playoff team. And someone on Twitter pointed out they shut out the Blue Jays 4-0 tonight. Tampa Bay's 75-63 record would have them a half game behind the Rockies for the top of the NL West, and they're 7.5 out of a wild card in the AL.
Huge jump.
Runner goes, popped up, and it's going to drop. How about that? Unbelievable. So there were just no defenders in that area on a ball that normally is caught. It's probably like a 95% out in most cases. Well, there was nobody there.
Yeah, well, you have the base runner going, and Javi had coverage. They thought it was more likely to hit the ball on the ground on the right side than on the pull side. So Javi was covering the bag with the runner on the move. So he wasn't there to make the play on the blooper. Had Addy been covering second base, Myers would have stayed home and been able to make a play on that ball.
And Caratini was holding on the runner at first, so he had no play.
The Hobby trying to deke Shaw. He's telling Bodie to act as if he were making a throw somewhere just to keep Shaw at second base.
Domingo Santana bats for the pitcher Miley.
Remember the game against the Mets when we were having some fun with De La Rosa? We thought he had the luckiest inning in baseball history after the leadoff triple and 2 lineouts.
Baseball gods are paying him back tonight.
Boy.
Good point.
Ground ball was short. Should have been an out. Weak contact, little blooper. Drops in for a knock.
Wade Miley was good. 6 innings, 1 run on 3 hits. He didn't walk anybody. Struck out 5.
Yeah, a lot of stuff on the ground. Travis Shaw had a very busy night at third base with Miley on the mound. There were only 3 balls hit in the air to the outfield. Cubs against it.
Fouled out of play by Santana. Pirates beat the Reds 7-3 in Pittsburgh. Musgrove over Reed. Runners take off. And a ground ball toward the hole. Tough play, Russell. And the throw's late. Gets by Caratini. Shaw will score. I thought Addison might not make a throw because I wasn't sure if Shaw would try to score as the throw would go to first, but Shaw was very conservative at third base. So Addy made the throw. It got away, and it's now 4-1.
Yeah, he took a quick peek and then heaved it across the diamond. Victor's got to come off the bag here. There are times when you can afford to try to make that stretch play, but with a base runner rounding third, you've got to come off the bag and make sure you knock that ball down. Error, I'm assuming, will be charged to Russell, but for me, that's more on Victory.
I'm guessing infield hit Santana, and an error will be charged to Caratini.
Okay, good charge.
Shaw to score. So, man, you were right about Jorge De La Rosa. Totally opposite vibe to the appearance he had last week against the Mets. Here's Dylan Maples when we come back. External pain relief of the Chicago Cubs, fireballing Dylan Maples will make his 4th appearance.
Yeah, this is a very curious case. Dylan Maples, he's got that big arm. He can throw 100 miles per hour, has a devastating slider. Huge strikeout numbers at AAA this year, but huge walk numbers as well. Took great strides last year. Kind of pitched his way back into prospect status.
So it's not been a good defensive game for the Cubs. 3 infielders have made errors. Rizzo out of the game. We're still waiting to hear why. The batter is Lorenzo Cain. As long as at first and third, Cubs will play for 2, and Cain takes high.
It's a frisbee slider. You can reach 100 miles per hour. That slider at 89. 38 2/3 innings at AAA this year. He struck out 75.
Pops out of the mitt. And Contreras thrown to the plate. Safe. Barcia scores 5-1. Pass ball charged to Contreras.
Slider didn't slide. It backed up on him, and Wilson turned his head. He thought that ball was going to hit Cain. Hard to hit, and at times can be hard to catch.
An ugly night tonight. 5-1. And Cain just backs completely off. He takes a slide.
The least bit comfortable. You talk about a lane changer.
Runner at second. 2 runs in. Brewers have now scored in 4 of the last 5 innings. He doesn't want any part of Maples, does he?
No, he decides to be aggressive here on 3-1. No, he's looking the whole way.
He has not kept his feet quiet this entire at-bat.
That slider that Maples throws, it's so hard. That's such sharp late breaking action. You'll talk to a lot of hitters. I've never seen anybody do this before.
The movement is unique.
Yeah, the movement at velocity.
Probably a 3% chance he puts a ball in play here. And he takes ball 4. Kind of felt like that was going to be Walker's strikeout.
Yeah. I would imagine if it were a 2-1 ball game, we've seen a little more engagement from Kane there, but at 5-1, I think he was like, let's just pass this on to the left-handed hitter. Kind of like a Tyler Chatwood in that he feels more comfortable throwing his slider than his fastball in terms of trying to find the strike zone. And Tyler, it's that cutter.
Okay, just watch Kane. This is what it's like to face Dylan Maples. Just watch the batter. 1, 2.
Yeah, right now he's done. After that second one, he's like, we're just gonna be in take mode here.
And ended up walking for the 3rd time. Meanwhile, 3-0 on Yelich. After the game, someone asked Lorenzo Cain, who's the toughest pitcher you faced this year. I bet he says Dylan Maples. And he walked. He reached base against him.
Looks like Brian Dunsing is up in the Cubs bullpen. With some urgency. Struck out 42% of the batters he faced at AAA, walked 22%. So basically 2/3 of the outcomes against him were strikeout or walk.
Bases loaded. Here comes Jim Hickey. He's a really smart guy, well read. He's always got a book he's reading on the road. A thoughtful guy. He'll grab a foothold here on a full-time major league job, and you see the stuff is certainly good enough. Just trying to harness it. 2 runs in. 2 errors, a pass ball here in this inning. And the bases are loaded with 1 out against Aguilar.
Aguilar had that same look that Kane did after that first slider. Just swallowed a bad oyster or something.
Stayed in there and took a big cut that time.
Maples is 26. 14th round pick in 2011.
A couple years ago, thought he might be done.
Well, it just has to be tremendously frustrating for him, right? To have this gift to be able to throw the ball the way he does. And have a hard time to command it. So he knows the potential is there. I'm sure we've been told many times, man, if you could just throw strikes, well, it's a big if.
Games basically count for 2. Cubs will wake up tomorrow either 5 ahead or 3 up in the division. It's like the old 4-point matchup in the Norris division. The Blackhawks played the North Stars. Good battle here, Maples and Aguilar. Another foul. Rizzo has a foot bruise, right foot contusion. Fouled the ball off that foot. I remember he needed a little time. And he hit him. Well, of course, a run. It's 6-1.
Three-run inning with 1 ball out of the infield, and that 1 ball was a little pop-up just beyond the infield dirt.
The pitching change, and we'll be back. 6-1 Milwaukee. reinstated from the DL, and this will be his first appearance back.
They got off to a great start this year. End of May on, things kind of went south on him.
Ryan officially activated yesterday. He had left shoulder inflammation. Here's the Rizzo injury. Third inning. Fouled the ball off the top of his right foot. X-rays negative, fortunately, so just a bad bruise.
Previously had been hit by a pitch on his other foot. Two stints on the DL for Dunsing this year. He had a 0.54 ERA through May 27th.
Popped up by Braun. Infield fly rule in effect, so he's out. Perez will be the 9th Brewer. The bat here in the 6th. Third top of the zone for strike one. Brian, while he was pitching with Iowa, got to work twice in his hometown, Omaha. So he would have rather been pitching in the big leagues. That's not a bad consolation prize.
Year one of a 2-year deal that Brian signed in January.
Gordon Lyles and Knebel. Brewers adding on tonight again. As I said earlier, they struggled to do that. And all these tight ball games, which has forced Craig Counsell to use a lot of his bullpen this season as Dunsing strikes out Perez. But they add 3 to their lead. It's 6-1 after 6.
Has to offer for your next client, corporate or family function. Like an all-inclusive suite experience, daily suite rentals are still available for games in September. For details, visit Cubs.com/premier.
Corey Knebel trying to get back in that circle of trust for Craig Counsell. All-star last season, but it has been a struggle this year.
Long ball has bitten him a little bit. 7 home runs allowed and 40 in the third. ERA approaching 5.
If, and it's a big if, in the 7th inning, Cubs are down 5. They can get back in this game. Remember the Dunsing appearance. Because they had the bases loaded, 1 out, and he came on, got Braun and Perez. They didn't add any more. Here it is, and it's tapped foul to first. Knebel is the Brewers Clemente Award nominee. Swing and a miss. He got him. Contreras with the lone RBI for the Cubs tonight. Back in the 2nd inning.
Two pitches from Knebel. Heater that averages about 97. And that sharp curveball you saw.
One and two. Inside for a ball. One of the more touching stories of the baseball season. Stephen Piscotty, who was traded by the Cardinals to the A's in the offseason, in part to be near his mother, Gretchen, who was battling ALS. She lost her battle in May. Piscotty putting together a fine season. Just hit his 22nd home run tonight for the A's, so that ties his career high. Oakland is that second wild card spot. Currently in the American League, they're hosting the Yankees tonight, and on that homer lead 1-0 in the third. And that would be the wild card matchup as it currently stands. The 3-2 from Knebel. Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Well, if they get Knebel back to top form to go along with Hader and Jeffress, his bullpen has a chance to reestablish itself as a real dominant force.
Caratini came in for the injured Rizzo to play first in the 6th inning. Did you see the Joey Votto shirt swap story?
I did see that,
from last night?
Yeah, saw video.
In Pittsburgh, we saw a fan wearing a T-shirt that read Votto for President. It was from a promotional campaign years ago, and Votto hadn't kept any of the shirts. So he did a little barter trade. He signed a a jersey, and the guy literally took the T-shirt off and handed it to Votto.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. I'm told that friends of the fan have long said he will give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy.
He came through.
Of course, Votto can't be president. Well, I guess he can't be president of something.
He's not the United States. He's
yeah.
from Canada. Team strikes out. Well, that looked like the old Corey Knebel. Starting with a K. K 3 times in the 7th.
Pick on the Washington Nationals. Coverage begins at 6, or you can stream the game live on the NBC Sports app.
That was evil Knebel, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was nasty Knebel, and it's one of those nights at the ballpark. It's been pretty ugly for the Cubs in all phases. Haven't done a lot of hitting, sloppy defensively. The pitching has not been crisp.
Shaw reached on an error to start the 3-run 6th. Ground ball back to Dunson. Cleanly fielded, and that'll go 1-3. Ninth inning now. Cardinals lead at Washington 7-5. Not be able to pick up ground on Milwaukee if this score holds up, but possibly on the first place Cubs. Brewers here starting a long stretch of games at home. Yesterday began a string of 12 of 15 here at Miller Park, and the 3 on the road. They don't have to get on a plane. They'll be at Wrigley next week. Phillies won, the Braves lost, so Philadelphia within 3 in the National League East. To Kratz. Inside corner, 3-1.
Jake Arrieta, the winning pitcher in the Philly win tonight. improved to 10-9. 7 1/3, allowed 8 hits, 4 runs. He struck out 11.
That's a 1-out walk. Rocket Mortgage breakdown time. In terms of division games for the Cubs, after tonight, 4 left against Milwaukee, 3 versus the Cardinals, 4 against the Pirates, and 3 against the Reds. And all of those games will be at Wrigley Field except for tomorrow night. So you hope home cooking will matter.
Yeah, well, after the Washington series, they only have 6 road games remaining, 3 in Arizona. The other 3 are on the south side of Chicago.
And so there will be a lot of Cub fans at both venues.
Indeed.
Cubs draw really well in Phoenix.
We'll have a couple of off days too in that final stretch of the season when they get back from Washington. A 3-game set with the Brewers, then an off day before the Reds come to town. And we'll have another one when they get back from the desert.
As I contemplate that stretch, and this is even with the Cubs sweeping the Reds recently in a 4-game series, I look at that Red series as just as challenging as all the rest. The
Yeah,
Brewers
they're not
feel
easy
that way.
to beat.
The Cardinals.
Yeah, it could be tough. You know, that lineup is dangerous.
Yeah, definitely not pushovers. Hook to left, and Bryant will have to chase it down. Kratz to third. It's a double for Arcia. He's got 2 hits tonight. Batter is Jonathan Scope off the bench.
Curious to see who the Cardinals use to close tonight. Carlos Martinez is working out of the bullpen these days for St. Louis. Might be a candidate.
A drive the other way. Zobrist at the wall. He's got it. Both runners will tag. Kratz will score. Arcia to third, and he'll hold there. It's 7-1. Sacrifice fly night here in Milwaukee. It's their third. And all to right. Kratz, Aguilar, and now Scope. Kane with 2 outs. He's been on base all 4 times. On base average up over 400 as a result. And he takes a strike. May not matter who closes for the Cardinals. They just got a grand slam from Yadier Molina. It's 11-5 on the top of the 9th. We'll bring Bruce Sutter out of retirement with a 6-run lead.
Probably still tricky with that splitter.
So the Cubs won 8 of the first 9 in this season series. The Brewers 4 of the last 5. So the games have been pretty tight up until tonight.
John Gant pitched for the Cardinals tonight. He did not qualify for the win, however. He only lasted 4 1/3. He didn't give up any runs. Threw a lot of pitches.
kind of absurd with the way teams are using their pitching now, that the guy could go over 4 innings of shutout ball, probably be the most effective pitcher all night, and he can't get a win. Only because he didn't start, or because he did start.
Yeah, when the average start for a major league pitcher now is less than 5 2/3 innings. Well, and again, that's why we don't concern ourselves with pitchers' wins as much as we used to, for a variety of reasons. Pitchers still do, though.
Yes, they do.
Well, Molina, he joined Ozuna, who hit 2 home runs tonight. Paul DeYoung went deep. The rookie Patrick Wisdom also homered. Serious carnage there, being dropped on the Nationals pitching staff. I think Lorenzo Cain's comfort level is a little higher this AB off the finesse left-hander as opposed to Dylan Maples.
Cain may have a special helmet made for the next time he faces Maples out of a hockey mask. Does he swing a maple bat?
I don't know.
So you can have a maple bat and a Maples helmet. Another 2-2 bounced. 3-2. NL West starting play this evening. Rockies in first. Dodgers a half game out. Diamondbacks 1.5, losing their last 4. Rockies trail at home against the Giants 2-1 in the 7th. Diamondbacks have a 2-0 lead over the Padres in the 5th, and the Dodgers trail the Mets at home in the 3rd 2-0. Cain walks again for the 4th time. What a night.
I saw a note today, and I don't remember exactly the date, but that NL West race, there's not been more than a 2-game separation between first and second since sometime in early June, I believe.
It feels that way for sure. James Norwood coming in. Terrence Gore. We'll sort out the rest when we come back.
available. Tours include visits in various seating areas, the press box, dugouts, as well as a chance to actually step on the field. This must-see Chicago attraction houses over 100 years of history. Book your tour at Cubs.com/tours today.
BioFreeze call to the pen. James Norwood, rookie right-hander, making his 6th appearance.
And he is pitcher number 6 for the Cubs this evening. 5 times at the big league level for James this year. 4.76. And just 5 2/3 innings of work.
Bryant goes to right. Zobrist out. Terrence Gore is in the game. And Gore would go into Rizzo's spot, and I want to see him get a plate appearance. Or 2. He's going to have to chase this one down as Yelich finds the gap. They're going to try to score 2, and they will. 2-run double for Yelich. 9-1.
Overall, Yelich has not done a whole lot of damage against the Cubs this year. He was in the game-winning run last night and just doubled to the wall in left center this evening. He's the reigning player of the week in the National League. He's having a monster year. He's an MVP candidate. Fairly typical Christian Yelich right there. Driving the ball with authority into the gap.
3 runs, all charged to Dunsing here in the 7th.
Now, Joe likes to say they're not all oil paintings. Like
an oil spill.
The kindergartners with the finger paints, and the teacher left the room. Good news is they only count as 1.
Yep. The walk rate continues to be a problem. The Cubs have walked 7 Brewers tonight. They haven't taken a walk, something the offense normally very good at. And only the White Sox have a higher walk rate among all pitching staffs in baseball. So it's got to be shored up. As you said, Mike Montgomery's stuff looked good, but he had a hard time finding the strike zone. In his 4 innings, there's another walk. That's 8 on the night. And now Ryan Braun.
Yeah, as the game starts to slip away, and you start using guys that you don't normally rely on to hold leads, and probably aren't sharp, haven't worked a whole lot. Dunsing just coming out the DL, Maples limited experience. Same thing for Norwood.
Tough play. Bodie will let it roll. Foul. strike to Braun. Brewers have scored 3 in each of the last 2 innings to pull away. Low. Off to right. And Bryant will catch it. 3 more for Milwaukee. It's 9-1 as we go to the 8th. With a quality start, 6 innings, 1 run allowed. He didn't walk anybody. Gave up 3 hits.
Yeah, he set the tone. Put the ball down around the knees. Cutter effectively. No bad chase there from Addy.
Benny's Beverage Depot, the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs.
He's a tough competitor. So here comes a veteran right-hander Jordan Lyles. 3-4 with a 4.46 earned run average. Most of that done with the Padres.
Got a line change for the Brewers. Looks like Scope is in at second. Swing and a miss. Perez is now in right. There he is. Jonathan Broxton, Keon Broxton in center. And that'll get in. Russell aboard.
Comeback is on.
Albert Almora, 1 for 3 tonight. Tommy LaStella on deck to hit for Baez.
It's the 7th appearance for Lyles in a Brewer uniform.
Shaw will get the out at first.
He's been busy. He's going to have to throw an ice pack on that shoulder tonight after this one.
He's really busy. Time for a hefty home run leaderboard. Baez with 30, Rizzo, Schwarber 24 apiece.
I mean, Stella has won, and it was a big one. It won a game for the Cubs over in Atlanta at the start of this trip.
The makeup game Thursday night. .95 and a strike. Cubs will turn to Jose Quintana tomorrow. He'll face Yolis Chacin. For the most part, Quintana has dominated the Brewers. The last time around, though, they got to him. That was at Wrigley Field on August 14th. Horizon projected starters. So going into that last start against Milwaukee, Q was 4-1 with a 0.92 career ERA in 7 starts. And he gave up 5 runs in 5 innings. 4 of the runs came on 2 Ryan Braun homers. Terrence Gore is on deck. And if you're wondering, he is a right-handed batter. And he is looking for his first major league hit. He's had plate appearances in 4 different seasons. Mostly used as a pinch runner. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So here are the odd numbers on Gore. This will be his 52nd career game. It'll be his 15th career plate appearance. He has 22 career stolen bases. He has played 24 career innings in the outfield.
He's a one-tool player, but that tool is really good. He can really scoot.
And he owns some jewelry. He's got a World Series ring from 2015 with the Kansas City Royals. Georgia native, went to Gulf Coast Community College. In a small strike zone, he's 5'7", 165.
Playing at Class A ball in 2013, he stole 68 bases, was caught just 8 times. He has 1 home run in his professional career.
Last year with AAA Omaha. And over 2,200 career plate appearances. Who was the guy who had not homered as a minor leaguer or major leaguer and finally did? He was a left-handed hitting outfielder 10 years ago. I'll come up with the name.
Huh. Speedy guy?
Yes, he was. I'll probably think of it. Sipping coffee at 7:30 tomorrow morning.
Text me if you get it.
Okay. I'll tweet it. I believe he was a Met 15 years ago. I am not going to tweet it from the shower. 4 fouls away.
Speedy Met 10 to 15 years ago, who finally hit a home run. Somebody, you're going to get a tweet. Somebody on Twitter will
Come on, people.
Come up with that.
Let me know who I'm talking about. You know the guy. Two to Gore. Called strike 3. Bottom 8, 9-1 Milwaukee. Route 66, Route 66. This September at Potawatomi, win your share of over $500,000 in cash and prizes. More at paysbig.com/Route 66. I have the name. Thank you, Twitter. I'll give credit to Sean and Anthony on Twitter. Hap now in right. Estella stays in and plays second.
Taylor Davis behind the plate.
There's Taylor. Harris pops it up. Caratini will not have a play. The name, Jason Kiner. Remember him?
I do, and I do. Just pulled him up here on Baseball Reference.
He did not hit a home run until a professional home run until his 5th pro season, 2003. In 898 pro games in 11 seasons, he hit 3. One came in the big leagues. It was off Jake Westbrook in 2007. That was the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah. That one home run in 1,467 plate appearances as a big leaguer.
Wayne Kuiper hit one.
Yeah.
In
off Steve Stone.
3,754 plate appearances. One out here in the 8th. Likely battery tomorrow night, Quintana and Contreras. Shaw looks at a pitch low. Nationals are not done yet. It's 11-8. In the bottom of the ninth, they have scored 3 times.
No bullpen.
They have 2 on with 2 out. They have a tying run at the plate.
Who gave it up?
Looks like Dominic Leon started the inning. He had pitched the 8th. John Brebbia as well, and they brought in Jordan Hicks now. Shaw's aboard.
Rockies have opened up a 5-2 lead over the Giants in Denver. It's the bottom of the 7th. D-backs lead the Pods 2-0. Top of the 6th. Robbie Ray's got a 1-hitter going for the Diamondbacks. He struck out 9, 5 2/3 thus far. So Will Myers got into trouble with his manager out there in San Diego.
Yeah, so was it Carlos Asuaje? They were doing like a live stream of a video game.
Yeah, that Fortnite game that all the kids are playing these days.
Right. And Myers forgot or didn't realize it, and was upset that Andy Green was making them take extra defensive drills or something.
Yeah, like here we are in September at the end of the year, and we're doing early work on all the fundamental stuff. So I don't know so it was a live stream of this video game, but so it's going out into the public. I mean, was it guaranteed that it was going to get back to the manager? I mean, did people on Twitter light it up? Hey, Will Myers is burying his manager on Fortnite. I don't understand exactly how that all went down.
So he had to issue an apology. Kratz strikes out, 2 away. Garcia 2 for 4 with a double, 2 runs.
Howard had a good year down in the minor league, split time between AA and AAA. Posted a 2.50 earned run average, 40 relief appearances combined. MLB At Bat is your #1 Cubs app. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Cubs home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live game radio broadcast stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today.
So third fair. And a double for Arcia.
Well, this blowout loss would go down a lot easier had the Cubs managed to win that tight game yesterday, but it's the nature of baseball. They didn't. Very good, entertaining, dramatic game yesterday. Cubs just laid an egg here tonight. Haven't done this very often this year.
No, they haven't, and if they can win tomorrow and salvage a finale, they would leave here only 1 game worse, so to speak, than when they got here. The Cardinals did hang on 11-8, beat the Nationals tonight. I'm thinking that game, that was a 9-inning game. That had to go 4-10. They started an hour before we did tonight. 2-1 on scope. 37,269 the paid crowd tonight, and many have moved on with the score 9-1 here in the 8th. Boy, nobody left yesterday in the thriller. A bullet to left. They're going to try to score 2. The throw by Gore is not in time. Scope drives in a couple. He's got 3 RBIs in the last 2 innings, and it's 11-1. Eric Thames makes his first appearance in the series. That's how deep this team is. Got 16 home runs, and we didn't even see him yesterday. Council used Curtis Granderson to lead off the 8th inning. He singled and ended up scoring the game-tying run. The Brewers make that acquisition, and he kind of jumps ahead of Eric Thames in terms of the pinch-hitting pecking order, at least against Carl Edwards he did.
Yesterday on the Brewer bench from the left side, they had Thames, Moustakas, Travis Shaw, and Curtis Granderson.
And both these teams incredibly deep position player wise. Didn't end up mattering, but the Cubs bench tonight featured Daniel Murphy, Kyle Schwarber, Tommy La Stella, Ian Happ. Swing and a miss, strike 3. We'll go to the 9th. It's all Brewers tonight, 11-1. uncomfortable walk taken by Lorenzo Cain against the electric slider of Dylan Maples. Cain kept backing out of there like a pitcher who had never hit at this level.
He just wanted it over. The second strikeout was called. He looked back at the umpire and said, come on, man, let's move this along.
Yeah, the irony of that plate appearance is Cain tonight went 1 for 1 and reached base 5 times. He had a great night, but if you just watched that at bat, you wouldn't have.
No, that was just a situation where with Maples throwing in comfortable lead at the time, and he just obviously wasn't seeing the ball out of his hand very well and didn't want to get hit in the noggin, so he was very defensive.
New battery here, Matt Albers on the mound. Jacob Nottingham is catching, and a line shot toward the alley for Ian Happ. First pitch swinging, he's got a lead double.
Hit number 5 for the Cubs tonight. The veteran Albers having a very rough go of it. ERA above 7.
Swing and a miss by Bodie. 2 DL stints for Albers. Shoulder and hamstring. Lights out last year with the Nationals.
Yeah, we talk a lot about how relief pitching can be unpredictable from one year to the next. Albers is a great example.
The last 4 years, a 121 in 2015 with the White Sox with 30 appearances, a 631 2016, 162 last year, and 724 this season.
So you would be wise to pick him up this winter. He is 35 years of age now. He's from Houston. Broke in with the Astros back in '06.
There was a game earlier this season when Joe Madden said, I want to take this game and block a cement to it and throw it in Lake Michigan. This might be the other game that would fit that category.
Well, and it's a good thing because the lake is close by here as well. Won't have to go far to do that. Strap it onto the back of his bike when he goes out for his ride tomorrow.
Bodie thought it was ball 4. Instead, it's strike 2. It's like the pitcher Norwood will go bat. He's on deck. Stung. That's the kind of foul ball that knocked Anthony Rizzo out of the game earlier.
Yeah, and hopefully that bruise doesn't impact Anthony for tomorrow. Get him right back in there. Swinging such a hot bat.
Side of the left shin. Pitch number 8 to Bodie.
In the nobody really cares department, the Pirates over the Reds 7-3 tonight. Joe Musgrove, the winner. Cody Reed suffered the loss. Marte hit his 18th. Scooter Gennett hit a couple. Now it's 22.
Bodie walks.
What a battle, David. Suarez 1 out of 4 tonight, but he did not drive in a run, so Avi and Suarez will remain tied for the RBI lead in the National League.
James Norwood bounces to short. They will turn a 6-4-3. James is 0 for 3 as a major league hitter. Taylor Davis with 2 outs, a runner at third in the September call-ups. Taylor made his big league debut last season and went 3 for 13 with a double. From Jupiter, Florida, went to Morehead State University in Kentucky. Ground ball, diving stop, Scope throws to first. What a play to end it. Jonathan Scope with a defensive gem, and the Cubs do not score in the ninth, and the final, Milwaukee 11 and the Cubs 1.
Yeah, one of those nights at the ballpark where the Cubs didn't do much well at all, and the Brewers did just about everything really well. And it ends with a sparkling defensive play by Jonathan Scope.
So for JD, Kelly, and our entire NBC Sports Chicago crew here in Milwaukee, headed by John Walsh, Dave Turner, Tamara Anderson. I'm Len Casper with your final score. Brewers 11, the Cubs 1. Join us Thursday at 6. Game 1 of 4 between the Cubs and the Nationals from Washington. Coming up next, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois post-game live. Stay tuned.